Can you imagine life without a refrigerator? For the majority of us, the answer is no. However, it's simply another day for the Amish. Using tried and true methods that have been passed down through the years, they have perfected the skill of preserving meat without the use of electricity. The worst part is that their techniques can potentially surpass your freezer in terms of efficiency. Wondering how they manage to preserve meat without refrigeration? In this video, I'll discuss all of them. Let's get started. Before the early 20th century, individuals had previously figured out how to prevent food from going bad, but refrigerators were a household need. Salt has been the solution for thousands of years and is still one of the most straightforward yet efficient preservation techniques. The Amish have mastered this ancient technique, adding salt to their meats to improve their flavor as well as preserve them. Salt was almost worth its weight in gold, which explains why it was formerly thought to be so valuable. So how does salt do its magic? Eliminating moisture is the key. Salt removes water from the meat, which is necessary for the growth of bacteria and mold. In addition to preventing spoiling, this forms a barrier that keeps contaminants at bay. Consider it to be the most basic and efficient protection mechanism found in nature. What became of it? For periods when fresh food isn't constantly available, this approach is crucial because it allows meat to stay fresh for months. The Amish take a methodical and patient approach to this process. They make sure that no part of the meat is left untreated by painstakingly rubbing salt into it. This meticulous method not only preserves the meat but also changes it. The texture is improved and a deep, savory flavor is produced as the salt gradually seeps into the fibers. Additionally, the meat turns into something genuinely unique when it is cooked or smoked. Do you have any experience with Amish cured ham? Perfectly balanced with a salty, smoky richness that almost melts in your mouth. It's a delight. The Amish have a heritage of salt curing, not merely a technique. It embodies their ideals of keeping things simple, being resourceful, and taking the time to do things correctly. The next time you add a pinch of salt to your dish, consider how this commonplace item has been enhancing flavors and preserving food for ages. Really amazing, isn't it? The Amish view the process of curing meat as a heritage involving time, talent, and love, and it goes far beyond simply preserving food. Imagine everything is done with care, using techniques that have been passed down through the years. It is important to take your time in order to produce something genuinely remarkable. There's no need to rush the process. Choosing the best cuts of meat is the first step. Only the best will do, so the Amish painstakingly examine every item. Then comes salt, the main attraction. To make sure no area is overlooked, they carefully rub and coat every inch of the meat rather than merely sprinkling it on. What's the point of all the work? Because salt is the key component that preserves the meat's flavor and safety. Hard labor and patience lead to good things. Here, there are no shortcuts. The true magic starts when the meat is kept in a cold, dry location after it has been salted. The salt draws out moisture, inhibits bacteria, and tenderizes the meat over the course of days or even weeks. However, the flesh is transformed into something unforgettable by the addition of salt, which imparts deep, savory qualities. It becomes better every day, more tender, more delicious. Amish cured meats are particularly unique because of this. They are the product of commitment, talent, and a strong regard for tradition. They are more than just food. It's about transforming something ordinary into something remarkable. What do you think then? Would you like to taste this masterpiece, or would you try your hand at curing meat? Post your thoughts in the comment section below. When it comes to meat preservation, salt is fantastic. But if you want to go farther, smoking is the one way to go. And believe me when I say that the Amish have elevated this age-old method to the level of art. It's about releasing rich, smoky tastes that are impossible to obtain in any other manner, not merely about extending the shelf life of meat. Are you intrigued yet? Let's get started. The secret to Amish smoking is that it does more than simply dry out the meat. The smoke and heat form a barrier that repels moisture and keeps microorganisms at bay. The best thing, though? The smoking gives the meat that deep, delicious flavor. It combines gourmet cookery with preservation. Typically, the Amish use woods like hickory, oak, apple, and cherry for smoking. Each type of wood adds its own unique flavor to the meat. Hickory brings a bold, smoky taste, while apple and cherry offer a sweeter, fruitier profile. For the Amish, smoking is a treasured custom rather than merely a chore. If you ever have the opportunity to visit an Amish home, you may notice ham, bacon, or sausages dangling from the rafters while the air is infused with the enticing scent of wood smoke. In order to create the ideal flavor, they meticulously control every aspect of their smokehouse construction, including humidity, temperature, and even the kind of wood, such as hickory or applewood. The main distinction is that the Amish continue to use their traditional, hands-on methods for smoking meats, whereas factory-made smoked meats rely on machinery. The outcome? You can taste the care and effort spent in every bite of smoked meats with their rich flavors and distinctive textures. So, what do you think? Would you want to try authentic Amish smoked meats? Or even take a shot at smoking your own? Did you know the Amish have a delightful secret when it comes to preserving meat? It's a method that's as much about flavor as it is about practicality. It's called sugar curing, and it transforms ordinary cuts of meat into something extraordinary. You might know sugar as a staple for desserts or sweetening coffee, but for the Amish, it's also a way to preserve and enhance meat with a unique blend of salty and sweet. Intriguing, right? Let's take a closer look. Sugar curing starts with a careful mix of salt and sugar, applied generously to the meat. The salt works to draw out moisture, which is critical for preservation. Less moisture means bacteria can't grow, keeping the meat fresh for weeks or even months. Meanwhile, the sugar does more than just help with preservation. It adds a subtle sweetness that complements the savory richness of the meat, creating a perfect balance of flavors. Ever tried Amish sugar-cured bacon or ham? If you have, you know it's not your typical store-bought variety. Each bite is a harmony of smoky, salty, and sweet notes that lingers on your taste buds. That distinctive flavor comes from years of perfecting the sugar curing process, an art passed down through generations. But it's not just about sprinkling on a mix of salt and sugar. The Amish approach this process with care and precision, ensuring the sugar enhances the natural taste of the meat without overpowering it. Some even add spices like black pepper or cloves to give the meat an extra depth of flavor. After curing, the meat is often smoked for an additional layer of complexity, resulting in a product that's as delicious as it is long-lasting. Sugar curing is more than a method. It's a tradition that reflects the Amish values of resourcefulness, simplicity, and quality. It's about taking the time to do things right, crafting something that's as practical as it is delicious. Would you give sugar curing a try? It might just inspire a whole new appreciation for the art of food preservation. Now imagine yourself looking at a slab of perfectly cured ham hanging in a traditional Amish smokehouse, waiting to be the centerpiece of your next meal. With every bite, you're tasting history, tradition, and craftsmanship. So, what do you think? Does sugar curing sound like something you'd love to try? Or maybe you've already tasted that sweet and salty masterpiece. Let's dive deeper into vinegar brining, an ingenious Amish method for preserving sausages, fish, and pork. This technique isn't just about keeping meat fresh, it's about infusing it with bold, tangy flavors that elevate every bite. The process is simple yet highly effective, showcasing the Amish knack for blending practicality with delicious results. Here's how the Amish do this. The meat is soaked in a brine made from vinegar, water, and often a pinch of salt. The vinegar, rich in natural acidity, acts as a powerful preservative by creating an environment where bacteria simply can't thrive. But there's more. Vinegar doesn't just preserve, it tenderizes the meat, breaking down the fibers and allowing the tangy flavors to seep deep into every piece. And it doesn't stop there. The Amish often customize the brine with sugar for a touch of sweetness and aromatic spices like garlic, peppercorns, mustard seeds, or cloves. These additions add layers of flavor, transforming preserved meat into a culinary delight. Imagine biting into a piece of vinegar-brined pork. It's savory and zesty, with just the right balance of spice and sweetness to make it irresistible. What's truly impressive is the versatility of this method. The brined meat can be stored for weeks in cool conditions, making it an excellent option for colder months or when fresh supplies are scarce. Whether it's added to soups and stews for a burst of flavor or enjoyed on its own, vinegar-brined meat brings a bold, tangy twist to the table. This age-old technique isn't just about preservation, it's about crafting a unique taste experience. So, what do you think? Would you give vinegar brining a try and bring some Amish-inspired zest to your meals? Imagine stepping into an Amish kitchen where time-tested traditions mingle with the scent of resourcefulness and simplicity. One of the most captivating skills they have perfected? Rendering lard, a process that's as practical as it is timeless. Picture this, an Amish busy mixing a pot of animal fat slowly melting over low heat, transforming into a clear, golden liquid. It's not just a cooking ritual, it's an everyday practice. As the lard cools, it creates a natural, airtight seal when poured over meat, locking in freshness and keeping bacteria out. The result? Meat preserved for weeks or even months without a fridge or a single chemical. Ingenious, right? But here's the kicker for this preservation method. The rendered lard isn't just for preservation. It's a star ingredient in Amish kitchens, adding incredible depth and texture to their cooking. Think buttery pie crusts so flaky they almost crumble at the touch, tender biscuits that feel like pure comfort, and hearty stews enriched with a richness you simply can't replicate. Lard is the secret behind those unforgettable flavors. What's even more inspiring is how the Amish embody the waste not, want not philosophy. They make use of every part of what they have, turning something simple like leftover fat into an essential kitchen staple. It's a beautiful reminder that the old ways often hold the most value, even in today's fast-paced world, which we often forget. Would you give rendering lard or cooking with it a shot? Imagine the incredible flavors and textures you could create. It might just be a game changer in your own kitchen. What do you think? The Amish have a brilliant way of keeping food fresh without electricity. They make use of their root cellars. These underground storage spaces are like nature's refrigerator, using the Earth's natural cooling properties to maintain a steady temperature between 32 degrees Fahrenheit and 40 degrees Fahrenheit. The result? A simple yet highly effective way to slow down food spoilage. No modern technology required. Root cellars are thoughtfully designed to work in harmony with nature. In these cool, dark spaces, the Amish store everything from smoked meats to root vegetables like potatoes, carrots, and onions. The consistent temperature and humidity help keep food fresh for months, while also protecting it from pests, spoilage, and harsh weather. It's an essential part of their self-sufficient lifestyle and a practical way to ensure food security year-round. What's especially fascinating is how sustainable this method is. No electricity, no chemicals, just a clever use of natural resources. It's a powerful reminder that the simplest solutions can often be the most effective. For the Amish, root cellars are more than just food storage. They're a testament to living in harmony with the land and making the most of what nature provides. What about you? Would you try using a root cellar to store your food? It's an old technique with a modern appeal, perfect for reducing waste, saving energy, and keeping food fresh the natural way. Let's hear your thoughts. When winter rolls in with its freezing temperatures, the Amish embrace an age-old method for preserving meat, using the natural cold air as your very own refrigerator or outdoor freezing. It's a practical, resourceful technique that has stood the test of time. Imagine this. During butchering season, large cuts of meat are carefully hung outdoors, where the crisp winter air keeps them fresh for weeks or even months. No modern refrigeration needed. The process is simple but effective. The meat is hung in a way that shields it from snow and rain while allowing it to fully benefit from the freezing temperatures. This not only prevents spoilage but also tenderizes the meat, softening the muscle fibers to enhance its flavor when it's time to cook. It's like nature's own preservation system, working in perfect harmony with their needs. What's remarkable about this method is how it reflects the Amish way of life, living sustainably and working in tune with the environment. By relying on winter's natural chill, they honor their traditions and ensure a steady supply of meat throughout the cold months, without relying on electricity or modern technology. Now, here's something to think about. Have you ever considered how the seasons could work in your favor? This old-fashioned technique might just spark some inspiration for making the most of what nature has to offer. Would you give it a try? Drying meat has been a cornerstone of Amish food preservation for generations, and it's a method that's as clever as it is practical. They hang strips of meat in a cool, well-ventilated space, letting the air gently do the work of removing moisture. The goal? To find that perfect balance where the meat is preserved, but still flavorful and tender. Pretty smart, don't you think? Here's the trick. It's all about getting the conditions just right. If the air is too dry, the meat becomes rock hard. Too humid, and it risks turning rubbery or spoiling. But when the balance is spot on, the result is amazing. Meat that's not only preserved for months, but also packed with rich, concentrated flavor. So, what do they do with all that dried meat? Plenty. It's enjoyed as jerky, a protein-rich, delicious snack that's perfect for busy days or traveling. Or they rehydrate it to add depth to soups and stews, which is especially handy during the colder months when fresh meat is harder to come by. But here's the thing. It's not just about food preservation for the Amish. It's about tradition, resourcefulness, and ensuring their families have something nourishing and delicious year-round. Isn't it fascinating how such a simple process can make such a big difference? What about you? Could you see yourself trying this at home? Whether it's for homemade jerky or prepping for winter, drying meat might just be a game changer. What do you think? Did you know the Amish have added a modern twist to their traditional food preservation techniques? It's called pressure canning, and it's a brilliant method that combines practicality with innovation. This isn't just about sealing meat in jars, it's about locking in freshness by creating an airtight seal under high pressure. And here's the best part. No refrigeration needed. The high pressure eliminates bacteria and removes air, allowing the meat to last for years when stored in a cool, dark spot. Now imagine this, a jar of perfectly preserved meat sitting on a pantry shelf, ready whenever you need it. You can pop it open and eat it straight from the jar, a lifesaver during emergencies, or use it to whip up hearty soups, stews, or any recipe you love. It's a zero waste, no fuss solution that's both practical and delicious. Why is this such a big deal for the Amish? It's all about their values of self-reliance and resourcefulness. Pressure canning is the perfect way to make the most of a meat surplus, ensuring their pantries stay stocked even when fresh meat isn't an option. And here's what makes it even more fascinating. The Amish continue to use traditional methods like smoking and curing, but pressure canning blends modern convenience with their timeless traditions. It's the perfect example of how they balance old and new. So, what do you think? Have you ever tried pressure canning or tasted home canned meat? If not, would you be willing to give it a try? Let's hear your thoughts. The Amish have mastered a centuries-old survival food called pemmican. Ever heard of it? Originally created by Native Americans, pemmican is a high-energy, long-lasting food made by blending finely dried meat with melted fat and sometimes dried berries for extra flavor and nutrition. The result? A compact, nutrient-packed superfood that doesn't need refrigeration and can last for years if stored properly. Pretty impressive, right? It is the equivalent of our modern energy bar. Why is pemmican so beneficial? First of all, the fat preserves the meat's freshness and prevents it from going bad by acting as a natural preservative. The berries? They provide additional vitamins, antioxidants, and a hint of natural sweetness in addition to taste. Pemmican is as adaptable as it is sturdy. You can eat it as a snack right out of the package, crumble it into soups to add protein, or combine it with hot water to make a filling supper. Pemmican is a lifeline for the Amish, not merely a food source. Pemmican is a perfect fit for their self-sufficient lifestyle, whether they are storing their pantries for the winter, preparing for crises, or sustaining themselves throughout long, exhausting workdays. When fresh food isn't accessible, it's a dependable source of energy, easy to preserve, and doesn't require any particular equipment. It's pretty amazing how they've taken this ancient recipe and made it a vital part of their lives, don't you think? So, here's a thought. Would you ever try making or eating pemmican? It might just be the ultimate snack for adventurers, hikers, or anyone who loves practical and delicious food. Let's hear your thoughts. Meat preservation techniques used by the Amish, like salting, smoking, and curing, emphasize their dependence on custom and the natural world. These methods not only improve flavor but also prolong shelf life, demonstrating that modern appliances are not necessary if one is patient and skilled. Their methods provide timeless insights into workmanship and sustainability. Are you prepared to follow suit? Which preservation technique will you attempt first? Post your response in the comment section below. If you love this video, you will love the next one more.